if I find out that a musician or a comedian, whatever it may be, likes to fly fish, which happened, I remember it exactly. I was photographing Luke Bryan, the country star here, and I knew he was into fishing, and my dad loved to fish. So I walked in, he was pretty much just going through the motions, and I started talking about fishing. Changed the whole dynamic of the shoot. He completely came around, and instead of being like this, he got into it and was like, oh yeah, and that was the turning point. If you look at the frames that were made during that session, they were all just okay and pretty predictable until we got to that fishing. And those were the images. They were right there because all of a sudden I had him engaged. He was laughing, right? He was into it. And I would say that happens probably 25% of the time. I'm given a time limit and I get to that point and the artist or the band will say, you know what, do you have what you need? And I'll say, I could use another 5 minutes, and they'll say, no problem. So I think everyone prepares themselves for a disaster so they can get out of there in 15 minutes. But, how is it? It's not very hard to get a great picture of a band like ZZ Top. Of course, I did the group shot, and then I had to get in and do the close-up portraits, right? And, what I've learned is if your subject knows you're into it, because I can get really intense during a shoot. I'm so focused on making sure the light, this. So I think I don't even notice it, but I've had a lot of people say, man, you are so into it. And I think if they see that you're really working your butt off, they're going to work with you. They're going to work with you and try to give you what you want. So
I was going to ask you this actually, how much pre-planning goes into a shoot like that? So do you study, images of the band, for example, in advance? Do you come up with like an artistic concept, or how do you approach it? How much pre-planning does go into a shoot like that?
Well, if the client, art director, record company executive hands you a layout and says, listen, here's what we're thinking, then obviously you start there. You've got to give the client what they took the time to design, right? You can't ignore. But if you think you've got a better idea, hey, what if I move him over to here or do this and change the light? Give them what they need. And then, hopefully there's time to try something else. So you're being courteous to the creative people that hired you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.